Yeah, I'm sorry for the break in transmission. That was not intentional. So I hope you guys can see me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, very good. So I was saying that I can relate with those emoji because I can pass those emoji into an information and I can make sense out of them. So that is what data means. Now, on the other end, we have what we call analysis. Analysis is trying to break something down into pieces. Right. It's when you are trying to break something down into pieces. That is what analysis means. Or you can say trying to demystify something. So that is what analysis means. So now bringing them together, data analysis is when you are trying to break down things that you can make sense out of them. You are trying to break down into like different pieces, like to make sense out of it. Now, I've explained what both of them now mean now, data analysis. But the point is that it does not end that way. Because if I said that, oh, I want to try to break it down to make sense out of it, there must be an outcome. There must be something that I really want to get out of it. Right. So that's what is going to complete that definition. So data analysis saying that, oh, we want to like break something down in order to make sense out of it. So making sense out of it means that probably you want to get an insight from it, or you want to use to make decision, or you want to like generate an outcome out of it. Then that makes that definition complete. So analysis itself is when you are trying to break something down. Data is something that you can make sense out of it, like any phenomena. So bringing it together is saying that, oh, we want to break this data down, right? We want to break it into pieces in order to make sense out of it. So making sense out of it, that part is what we call insight. So which means that there are three things. If you want to define data analysis generally, there are three things involved: data, analysis, and insight. Data is the beginning, while insight is the end. So analysis is now in between. Analysis is what is going to help you to make sense out of your data. It's like a channel that will enable you to, understand your data in order to like generate insights from it. So that is what data analysis means. So I used to call it like a triple, a three strands: data, analysis, and insight. So without data, there can never be an insight. So analysis is just like a major, like it's just like a part of it, part of the process. It's what just aid you to understand your data in order to like make sense out of it. Basically, that's just what data analysis means. So let's say um just normal definition, just like you are seeing on my screen. Data is any kind of information. So it can be numbers, words, images, that we collect, store, and analyze. So data is just any kind of information, anything that you can just that is meaningful enough. That is what we call data, right? Why analysis is just the process of examining something to understand it better. So when you're trying to examine something or you're trying to like, break things down into pieces in order to like get insights from it or to understand it better. So that word saying understand it better. So the definition can never be complete without an insight. So that's just what the data. So you cannot say data analysis is the process of examining something. You must add that part of insight that say to examine something in order to understand that thing better. So that word saying that you want to understand it better, that is like the insight. So you cannot say, okay, you want to understand it better in order to like generate insight or to make decision out of it or to drive policies or interventions. So those are like what we call data analysis. So I believe we all understand what data analysis is now. I mean, just briefly. So me, I'm not the type of person that always give you, grammars. I mean, big vocabularies. So if you understand the foundation very well, it's going to help you to now use your own definition. Like you can define it in your own way. Just know that those three things: data, analysis, and insight, they are the most important thing. If you understand those three things separately, you can use those three things to now like form your own definition. So if it says data is any kind of information, you can give it like a synonyms. If you say analysis is the process of examining something, you can also give that one to a synonyms. So I mean, you can give them different definition and still in line with um data analysis and insight. All right. So generally, data analysis is the process of looking at data to find useful information that can help people make decisions. So process of looking at data, right, to find useful information. So that's just what data analysis. So this is another definition. In my own case, I can say data analysis is the process is the process of examining a particular data in order to like gain insights from it. It's still the same thing. So just give it your own definition. That is not going to be far-fetched from definition of data, definition of analysis and insight. And like I mentioned, data is a plural, right? Why Dalton is a singular. All right, so we have what we call types of data. We have types of data, and we have quantitative data, we have qualitative data. Sometimes we call quantitative, we call it quant. While qualitative, we call it qual. We also have primary data and secondary data. However, primary and secondary, they are not like a standalone types of data on their own. They are still more or less like under quantitative and qualitative. And I'm going to explain why. So now we've already explained that data can be in any form. As much as you can get an information from it, you can get an insight from it. It can be in any form. It can be in emoji, it can be in letter, it can be a number, it can be anything that can make information out of it, like just anything, right? That is data. So you shouldn't limit yourself to data is a number or that has to be a number. No, it can be characters, it can be just anything, right? It can be feelings, it can be emotion, it can have to like probably do with cognitive sense. It can be anything, something that you can get information out of it. That is data. Now, if you are now saying types of data, so anytime we want to, and I also mentioned that if you want to do anything with data, there are three things. You must understand that data. Then you have to use analysis to now get insights out of that data. Now, before you can use analysis to get insight out of the data, you must first understand what kind of data are you dealing with. Before you can use analysis, which is the middle part, to get insight. Insight is the endpoint. Data is the origin. Insight is the destination. For you to be able to get insights out of the data, you must use analysis. Before you can now analyze the data, that is before you can use analysis to understand data, you must know what kind of data you are dealing with. In fact, that is going to guide you through to knowing the kind of analysis that you need to do on that data. So to now know the kind of data that you are working with, we have what we call types of data: quantitative, qualitative, primary, and secondary. It is very essential to know the kind of data that you are working with before you can do analysis. Now, if your data is in form of a number, right? If your data is in form of a number, then that means that it's a quantitative data automatically. It's not add at all. Quantitative means quant, and quant means number, anything that is numeric. So for instance, I say, okay, how many books are in the store? If I should just mention how many books, that means that I'm talking about numbers. How many books? So in that case, it means that number of books in the store, that kind of information that I'm trying to get, that kind of data that I'm trying to get, it means that that particular data is a what? It's a number, it's a quantitative data. It's a quantitative information that I'm trying to get. Now, that is what quantitative just means. Any data that is in form of a number. Now, what's it called? Any other data that is not in form of a number, it is what we call qualitative. Quantitative is any data that is in form of a number, while qualitative is any other data that is not in form of a number. That's what we call qualitative. Right. So for instance, now I mentioned emoji. Emoji is a type of data. Is a data that can use to get information. So emoji in this case now is a qualitative data because it is not in form of a number. Characters like letters, like all of these hash, you know, ampersand, all of these things they are qualitative. So if somebody should give a comment on Facebook now, that kind of comment is a qualitative because it does not deal with a number. However, it is a data because we can use it to generate insight. If somebody should comment on your post on Facebook, if somebody should comment on your post on Facebook, it's going to help you to know, oh, whether you are doing well or you are not doing well. So this is what we call qualitative data. But if it is a number, if it is in form of a number, that's going to show that, oh, that particular data is a quantitative data. Please let me know if you guys understand. Can you just give a thumbs up if you understand what we are trying to explain here? Elijah, can you rejoin? Yeah, okay, makes sense. Elijah and Benjamin, I could see you guys are giving thumbs up. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Oh, very good, Abdul Malik. All right, so that's very interesting for me. So let's just continue. Now that we understand what quantitative and qualitative is now, next thing is now to talk about primary and secondary data. So primary data, it means that any types of data that you can get directly by yourself. You know, there are different ways you can get data. I mentioned Facebook just now, social media, right? You can just go to social media and somebody says, Nigeria is doing very fine and likes. That's like you trying to like, so you cannot go to social media and see somebody that have sent that kind of message. In that case, we call it primary data because you get that data yourself. Now, primary data is the data that you get afresh, like directly by yourself. Either you experience it or you collect it directly by yourself. That is what we call primary data. However, secondary data are data that are not primary, that are not fresh, that are just indirect. You do not get it directly by yourself. For instance, now maybe God forbid an accident happen um in a particular road. People that are present when the accident happen, they are going to get primary information. They will get primary data. They will be able to like narrate whatever happened in that particular road at that point in time because they express it like directly. So in that case, it's a primary data. However, you are at home watching a TV, the kind of information or data that you are getting at that time is a secondary data because even the person that is telling you can be exaggerating, can say, oh, 50 people died, whereas it's just 2 people that died during the accident. So in that case, you will not be getting, you're not going to get accurate information. That is what secondary data does. You just getting indirect data. So for instance, now you will attend this particular class today. Your friend is now asking you that particular session that explicit success scholars um organized. Can you just give me information about it? You are now narrating everything that you learned in this class to that person. It cannot be as accurate as if the person himself attend the class. So you that you are attending this class now, you are getting a primary data from the tutor directly. If you are now narrating it to another person, it's going to become a secondary data to them because they are not getting directly from the tutor or from the organizer of this training. That is just the difference between primary and secondary. So, example of secondary is like newspaper, all of these for TV news and radio, things that you cannot experience directly yourself. Those are secondary. Just know that those are secondary. But if you can get the information by yourself directly, it's a primary data. Now, I mentioned that primary and secondary data, they are not really like standalone types of data. They are just under quantitative and qualitative. And what I mean by that is that you can have a primary quantitative data. You can also have a secondary quantitative data. Similarly, you can have a primary qualitative data. You can also have a secondary qualitative data. So what do I mean by primary quantitative data? Primary quantitative data is don't forget that we said quantitative data is any data that is in form of a number. So if you're now saying primary quantitative, then it means any data that is numeric and you get it directly afresh by yourself. That is primary quantitative data. That is, if the data that you're getting is a number, it is numeric, and you are getting it directly by yourself from your audience or from anywhere, like it's just direct by yourself, then that makes it a primary quantitative data. On the other hand, if it is a numeric data, but you are not getting it by yourself, you are getting it from somebody, from another source, then that makes it a secondary quantitative data. So if you should go online now, you now ask Google for the um you now ask Google for the inflation rate in Nigeria from 2015 to 2025. Inflation rate is a number. Automatically, that already makes it a quantitative data. Now, the next question is that, is it a primary or a secondary quantitative data? It is a secondary quantitative data because you get it from Google. You yourself, you do not get it by yourself. So in that case, it is a secondary quantitative data. So that is how it works. Primary quantitative data can be, if you go to a particular store, you walk to that store yourself, you are now asking the store owner that how many books are in your shop. The person will give you the number. Then that makes it a what? A primary quantitative data, because you are the one that go to the shop yourself to ask the owner of the numbers of books in the shop. That is primary and secondary quantitative. So using that explanation of primary and secondary quantitative, you should already like have an idea of what primary and secondary qualitative means. So primary qualitative, don't forget qualitative is any other data type that is not of number. That's just qualitative. It can be anything. It can be character. If and only if it is not number, like absolute number, then that means that it is a qualitative data. So if you're not saying primary qualitative data, it means that any other data type that is not of number, and you yourself, you are the one that collects directly by yourself, then that means it was a primary qualitative data type. Similarly, if it is a secondary qualitative data type, any types of data that is not a number, and you are not the one that collects it by yourself, you get it from another source, then in that case, it is a secondary qualitative data type. So if you should go to online now, you that you are carrying out a research on how many people are suffering, right? Somebody from, I don't know if you guys are very familiar with Lagos, somebody from the island in Lagos, Victoria Island, or that are very rich, they can go to Facebook and be complaining that, Nigeria, I'm making 25K per month, whereas they are making 50 million per month, right? So, and you are not going online to now gather data, or people that are actually like, that they are not really well okay in Nigeria. In that case, you are getting secondary data because anybody can just come online to just submit any information, just comment. You will not be able to know who is who. So in that case, your data will be inaccurate. You'll be getting false information. But hadn't been you yourself, you have already worked, like you just walk towards those rich guys. They cannot be telling you that they are making 25K, whereas when you are seeing them, you can see that they are making more than 500K per month. You need to be very clear that this person are just lying or they are not giving you good information. But you will not be able to tell online who is who. So all of these things are things that we are talking about primary and secondary. So primary data is always accurate than the secondary data. So, but however, it can either be in count or call. It can be in count if it is number. It can be in call if it is um what's it called? It's not a number, but any other types like characters, like comments, like feelings, like emotions, like images, like videos. Video is a data type. For instance, now after this class, we can, push these recordings online. In that case, now we are trying to use the video to pass information. You can say, okay, maybe a content creator, you want to like market for people to see what you are trying to sell. In that case, you are using video to communicate what you are selling. You are passing out information. That is a data. You are getting, like, you are sharing a data of what you are selling using video. So video is a data type, but it's a qualitative data type. Images too is also a data type. So just name it. Any other data type that is not of number, they are qualitative. So let's see the definition. So like I mentioned, I am not really that kind of person that always give, You don't have to cram, just know it. Quant is a numeric data type that can be counted or measured. So they deal with number, quantities, and time. So all of these things, just like the same thing I've explained. So qualitative, non-numeric, and focuses on description. You can see descriptions. It can also be color. Like, okay, for instance, if I say, okay, what's your favorite color? You can tell me that, oh, my favorite color is like, black or green or white. In that case, you are trying to tell me more about you. You are giving me information about things that you like. If I say, okay, what is your favorite food? You can tell me the kind of food that you like. So in that case, you are giving me information. So all of these things they are like descriptions, they're like characteristics. So these are not number. You can see opinions, emotions, experiences. All of these things, they are what we call qualitative data. So qualitative is very wide, unlike quantitative that is just number. And we have primary data. This is information that is collected first hand by the researcher or by anybody for a specific purpose. So yeah. So secondary data is information that has already been collected by someone else for a different purpose. You are now using it for your own purpose. So in that case, it's not be as accurate as if you go yourself to go and collect that data. So that is secondary. All right. So now we are moving to another section. But before I move to this section, just like we did for the last session too, let me know if you already understand everything that we've done before. If you have question at any point in time, you can always raise up your hand and I'm going to call you to ask that question. So let me know, can you guys give an emoji to express that you are still following and you understand everything I've talked so far? All right, very good, Jerome. Oh, very good, Tommy. That's impressive. Oh, interesting, interesting. All right, so I believe we can continue. All right, so we've mentioned that we have different types of data, and we've also explained that it is very essential for us to understand the kind of data that we want to work with before you can analyze that data. Now, everything that you're going to do in data analysis, regardless, there's nothing you want to do data analysis that you want to do ever data analysis. Everything will always based on the definition of data analysis. Forget about all of this online. You can go to LinkedIn and say, I'm a data analyst with 10 years experience. I've worked with different before companies. I've worked with this and that. Everybody, regardless of the kind of tools, the kind of thing that they are doing, anyhow it is advanced, they are anything that they are doing is still based on the definition of data analysis. It can never go outside the definition of data analysis. So what I'm saying in essence is that if you want to become an expert in data analysis, you must know the definition. That is what is going to guide you through anything whatsoever that you want to do in data analysis. So, and I've already explained what the definition is. Data, analysis, and what? Insight. The data is just anything that you can make sense out of it. Analysis is to help you to make sense out of it. Insight is the sense that you want to make out of it. That's just definition. You cannot use your own grammar to now coin it the way you want. The reason I have to mention that is because the subsequent sections that we are going to be covering in this training will fall under that particular definition as well. It will just fall under that definition. All right. So we have 6 processes in data analysis. 6 different processes in data analysis. The first one is curiosity. The second one is data collections. The third is data preparation. The fourth is data exploration. The fifth is data analysis, and the last is data conclusion. It's just conclusion. I'm going to explain what each of these things mean using scenarios, examples. Like I said, this is not like say, when we are in school that you have to like cram grammars. This is theoretical, like this is practically based explanations. Now, why do you have to understand data analysis process? Why do you have to understand this particular process that we are talking about? Now, the reason is because if you are going to analyze anything, that is, you want to analyze your data in order to gain insights from it. If you are going to do any of that, you must understand the entire process that you have to follow. Now, we don't just analyze data for analyzing data sake. Something must occur before you can say you are really interested in that data and you want to analyze it. So that's where the first process comes in, which is what? Curiosity. You must be curious. There must be something that will trigger you to say, oh, I am actually interested in this thing. So let me give you an example. So for instance, let's say you wake up early in the morning and one of your friends, they've been seeing you over and over. All of a sudden, when they don't see you early in that morning, they now realize that you are now fat. You are looking very handsome. You are looking very good all of a sudden. Your friend, or normally everybody, anybody, will be curious. They'll be like, how come? Between yesterday and today, you are already fat, you are looking good and fine. How are you doing it? They'll be curious. Right? That's the first thing about research. About anything about data analysis, you have to be very curious. Like there must be something that something must have occurred, something must be happening, or something must probably want to happen before you can say, oh, you want to just analyze the data. It must be curious. So you cannot say, the friend cannot say, why are you just fat and looking good today? That is curiosity. Right. So if you're now curious, the friend will now be like, okay, I want to indulge you. What are the things that you've been using? Are you using a particular cream? Have you been eating a particular food? I mean, that's just making you glow here and there. That is just his own curiosity. Now, he can afford that to say, okay, he's interested in you. He really wants to know why you've changed a lot. Now, you will now start collecting his data. That is the second process. This thing that you are seeing here, data collection process. This one here, that's the second process. He's very curious, right? He wants to understand why you've changed. The second process is now trying to gather his data. So you can now be gathering data like say, okay, how many times do you eat per day? You cannot give me a response and say, okay, I eat 3 days per day. Okay, do you always gym? How frequent do you gym? I mean, all those questions relating to why you've changed. That is all of those things that he's going to be asking. So he's trying to like collect his data, right? You can also further ask your neighbor that, oh, do you also notice that this guy has changed a lot? Do you know if he has been gymming lately? What are his routines? What kind of food do you think he has been eating? So in that case, he's trying to gather his data. He's trying to collect his data. I'm trying to be as simple as possible. I'm trying to paint a very simple scenario. However, this scenario that I'm trying to paint work across any sector of life. Just think about them. These 6 processes cut across any discipline. Either it is hospitality or medical line or education or government, any sector. All of these 6 processes works as far as data analysis is concerned. So he now gather his data, trying to ask why different people, have you changed? Then he cannot prepare after collecting that data from different people. Then he cannot prepare that data, like make it clean. Okay, Mr. A, which is you, these are your responses. You can put it in an Excel file, for instance. Okay, Mr. B, which is your neighbor, he can also put his own response too in an Excel file. He's trying to prepare his data. He has gathered the data from different people, so he's not trying to like prepare them. So Mr. C, also your neighbor, is going to also prepare his own data too. And for different people like that, he's going to prepare their data. Now, after he prepares that data, then the next one is now to now explore the data exploration. So what data exploration means is that he's going to now look at it. You as Mr. A, you notice that your responses is also consistent with Mr. B's, which is your neighbor response. He's going to like look at relationship. Like he's going to look at relation between your own response and your neighbor's response. Right? He's going to explore those relationships. Okay, what if I should bring, okay, gym, you always gym by 3 p.m. every day, while your neighbor says 2:30, and 2:30 is not far from 3 p.m. Or you can say, okay, you always eat rice and beans every morning, while your neighbor is saying that, oh, you always eat, maybe beans and rice. It's still the same thing, right? So it's going to be looking at consistency and relationship between all of these data across different people, different respondents. he's curious. That's the first thing. That's what is leading to all of this problem that he has put himself into. That is just curious that you've changed. He collected data from different people, which is you and his neighbor and your neighbor rather. He also prepared the data by making it clean. He transformed the data. Then he now explore the data, looking at relationship between one variable to another. Variable is like gymming. How do you gym? Eating to exercise, maybe exercise to sleeping. All of these things are things that contribute to your fatness and your handsomeness. These are things that can contribute. So all of these things that can contribute to it, they are what we call variables. So he now explored them, looking at the relationship between them. So now the next thing now is now to like analyze them. So he's now going to run his analysis to now see, okay, is it because out of all of these variables, which one actually contributes the most to your change? That is what we call data analysis. He has explored the variables, he has looked at, okay, possible relationships that can occur. Now, that is not going to run that relationship in the analysis stage. It's going to run that relationship. Then after running the relationship, you can now say, okay, maybe it's because you always gym every 3 p.m. every day. That is why you've changed. Right? Now, it cannot derive conclusion that, okay, you cannot say something like, if any other person can also be can also like work out every 3 p.m., then that means that they will always change. They will always be fine and fat. That's not the conclusion. So he was able to use your own study by just studying you and trying to like analyze something around you. He was able to reach a conclusion and also like make a recommendation, right? An insight from what he gathered from you to now say, okay, I will recommend that everybody, if you're also like interested in also to be fine and also to change, then you can always exercise every 3 p.m. of every day. So in that case now, that is now conclusion. So there's never an analysis is not complete. A data analysis is not complete until you reach a particular conclusion or an insight. Like I said, the definition of data analysis is using the three stands: data, analysis, and what? Insight. So which means that none of them must be missing. All of them have to come together before you can say you've run your data analysis. So basically, this is just what we are saying. So just the way I've explained to you, it's also is also applicable to any other sectors. For instance, now economy, you can say, yeah, it can be inconclusive. Yeah, thank you, Tommy. So you can't say your analysis is inconclusive. You can't just say I cannot get it. I mean, cannot say you cannot derive anything out of it. So what is all of these 5 steps doing? You must not come to this analysis part. You're not saying there's no conclusion. It's not possible. There must always be a conclusion. There must be an outcome. That is what is going to give reasons to all of these things. That's what is going to give sense to your data in the first place. So in fact, you must have predicted, or you must have like see that there will be an insight, right? Because look at your friend that is trying to study you. He was able to like know that what he wants to get out of his analysis about you is that he really wants to know the specific thing that you've been using that's making you to glow and change. So in that case, he was able to now get a conclusion out of it that it's because you always exercise every 3 p.m. daily. That is why you are changing. So in that case, he was able to also like make recommendation, and things now to make decision, all of this now continue from there. So there must always be a conclusion. So in terms of economic wise now, you can say, okay, in Nigeria, we are maybe before a particular government era, things are actually very fine. But at some point in time, things now become worse. You are now curious. Why? There must always be something that will trigger you. You must always be curious. That what are the changes? Right? Why is it that we move from A to B in Nigeria? Why is it that we are not moving from, So all of those things so these are curiosity. So what do you now do as a researcher or as a data analyst? You are going to gather your data. You cannot gather your data either primarily or secondarily. If it is primarily, that means that you are going to like meet everybody and start asking them that, what is your view about Nigeria? What do you think is happening to Nigeria? Blah, 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 all of those things. That is primary data. However, you can also use secondary to collect your data by going online, search for maybe on Google or like any publications or social media, then ask people, or you can even go there, what people are saying about Nigeria, then you use that one to now prepare your data. So anyhow you want to collect your data, the second step is that you want to collect data after you have been curious. Now, the next one will now be data preparation. After you've now collected that data, then you are now going to prepare that data. So from different sources, you've gotten the data from different sources, you bring them together, you prepare that, you clean it, you transform that data. That is the data preparation stage. The fourth one is now you trying to explore. Okay, the data that you got from Facebook, they say this. However, the one that you got from Twitter say this. Okay, the one that you got from maybe LinkedIn say this. You're trying to explore all of those relationships together. Then you're not going to analyze the data. Then you can now reach a conclusion and say, oh, it's because of subsidies, removal of subsidies. Okay, it's because of this, it's because of that. You'll be able to generate an insight, a conclusion out of it. It's still the same process. So which means that if you are able to understand these 6 steps, you can analyze any data. You can. So this also like work in terms of businesses too. A business person can come and meet you and say, Mr. Data Analyst, I've been experiencing a drop in sales over the past 6 years. He's being curious. He's being curious in the sense that he's curious that his sales has been dropping in the past 6 years. Now, he wants to understand why. So as a data analyst, what do? You collect your data. You can now ask him that, okay, let me look at your numbers. What is your profit during the last 2 years? What are your, revenue? How many customers do you generate per locations? You are trying to collect data, different relatable data that can give you a conclusions to his curiosity, to your customer curiosity, or to your client's curiosity. Then after you now collect that data from different sources, then you're going to prepare that data, right? You clean it up. Then you now explore. You can say, okay, customers in the southeast, they are the one that is actually patronizing that particular company more than those in the northeast. You can now try to explore the relationship. Then you're not going to analyze that data to now say, okay, let me look at the revenue against the customer. Let me see what is the relationship between the customer and the revenue per location. That's what is going to give you. So it is from the curiosity that you're going to know what particular analysis that do you have to carry out. If their curiosity is that, okay, they are dropping in sales, then definitely you already know that, okay, if you are going to analyze your data, then you have to do something, you have to analyze something that is related to sales. So not like they are going to say, we are dropping in sales and you are now analyzing profits. How does that relate? Or you are giving them numbers of location, how many location are they shipping to? It does not really relate to them dropping in sales, right? So that curiosity is what is going to lead you to the kind of analysis that you're going to do for them. So everything here, before you can reach conclusion, all of these things, they depend on each other, starting from curiosity. Data collection depends on curiosity. Data preparation depends on both of them. Data exploration depends on the three of these ones. Data analysis depends on these four. The conclusion now depends on these five as they are, before you can now say you are done with your analysis. So that is just how all of these processes works. So there are different definitions here. So data analysis involves several key steps that guide how we collect, organize, and interpret data to uncover meaningful insights. So you can see the way I put this thing here. So you can see that we have curiosity, data collection, prepare. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is rounded like that. So that's just how it works. So you start with curiosity, you're asking the right question. So you're just being triggered by something, and you're trying to know why. So that's just curiosity. And then you now start preparing your data. So data collection is about gathering information from different sources. You can see from different sources. So why data preparation involves cleaning. You can see this man trying to clean data. He has gotten data from different sources. Now he's not trying to input into his system, trying to clean the data up before you now start, doing the exploration and analysis. So that is just data preparation. So for exploration, it means that the step where you start looking for patterns or relationship. You can see what I'm trying to say. Where you try to look at possible thing that you can generate out of that data. That is where you start exploring the data. Do you get? So they will now have data analysis. So it involves statistical tools or creating visuals like charts to now make sense out of the data. You can see the word make sense. Everything still boils down to definition that I gave earlier on. So everything I'm going to be doing in data analysis deals with definition. So then you now have interpretation or conclusion or presenting the result. So after analyzing the data, you can now interpret the results, they present them in a way that can other people can also understand. Like you have reached a conclusion. So these are like the 6 steps to gather data, right? I mean to analyze your data. However, you can notice that when I was giving definition of data analysis, I did not really specifically mention all of these 6 steps. I only mentioned data analysis and insight, right? I did not mention exploration, preparation, collection, and curiosity. And the reason is because do you see these three, this data collection, preparation, exploration, they are like like normal thing, like that you have to do. It's like a norms. Before you can start any analysis, you must do these 3 things. Like it is a norm, like it's a default stuff that you cannot do without for any kind of data. You must do these 3 things. So that is why most times they don't always like explicitly state them. You just have to like know that before you can start analysis, you must have done these 3 things. Like collect your data, prepare your data, and then explore them before you now say you want to do analysis. So if you want to give somebody a definition, you can use these 3 other ones to also like give a very detailed explanation because they are part of analysis generally. It's just like to make it more explanatory. That's why I have to split them like this. So basically, that's just how it works. And yeah, so let me know if we get that before we move to the next section. So can you, okay, very good, John. Yeah, very good. So I know that we are actually running out of time, so probably we should just end it at this section so that I mean we can take questions and also so that we can also like have our quiz that we prepared for this section. All right, so um let's just stop at this section and while tomorrow we can just continue from here. I know we've learned a lot in terms of different things that we covered in this particular section. We cover the introduction to data analysis. We also cover different data types, and we also explain data analysis processes. So let me know. Do you have questions, comments, feedbacks, suggestions, or whatsoever that you want to share with us? You can just raise up your hand, and we are going to call you.
Looks like there's no question.
Oh, there's no question. Really? Are you guys saying that you understand everything from A to Z? I mean, perfectly well.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
So I want to get that question one too very well.
Section
It's
one and
just
two.
so yes.
All right. So section one is definition of data analysis, right?
Okay,
And yeah. So what we explained there is that data analysis is just 2 words: data and analysis. Data means anything that you can make sense out of it, just anything, right? Any kind of information. Why analysis means when we are trying to examine something, we are trying to demystify something, trying to break something down into pieces, right? In order to like get something out of it. So that's just what. So now we are not saying that we should bring it together, data analysis. It means examining the data, right? In order to get something out of it. That's just what data analysis. But you can if now to now say you want to get something out of it, you have to like be very explicit. So we are saying that it is a way of analyzing data or examining data in order to get insight from it. Do you get? So
Yeah.
if you want to understand data analysis, once you just understand what data means, you understand what analysis means, and you also understand what insight means, you can copulate them together and now use it to like for definition of what data analysis is in your own words.
Mm,
Do you get?
okay.
That's
Yeah.
just data analysis. And the second section was talking about data analysis types or data types rather. So we have quantitative, we have qualitative, and we have primary and secondary. I mentioned that primary and secondary are not really a standalone types of data. They are still under quantitative and qualitative. So, but what we are saying here is that um, it's for quantitative, it is any kind of data that is of numeric, that is of number, like they're just number data type. That's many of what's it called quantitative data type. However, qualitative are any other types of data that is not number. Do you get? So that's just
Mm,
what qualitative mean. So it can be emoji, it can be, what's it called? It can be emoji, it can be picture, it can be color, it can be, comments on Facebook or something. That's qualitative. So now we have what we call primary data. Primary data are types of data that are that you collect directly by yourself. While
okay.
secondary data are data that you collect, like you get from another source. You are not the one that collects by yourself, but you get it from another source. Do you get?
Mm,
Is that clear now?
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Oh, very good. So does any other person have questions? Please, if you have questions, do not hesitate to ask. Just raise up your hand and just ask it to be answered. All right. Oh, very good, Kenneth. Um, very good. So it's look as though most of us don't have question. Oh, thank you very much for Kenneth. Thank you very much for your comments, Kenneth. Um, all right. So one last thing is that you guys have to like work on this. This guys prepare for you. And the thing is, I can see that we are about 21 participants on the call, and this is heartbreaking, really. And the thing is, the reason why I say that is because this quiz that we prepare for us take up to 10 participants, right? But at the same time, I just still want us to have it. It's more or less like a very summative way to recap everything that we've taught and to also make it more engaging. So the way it works is that you are going to, you must like, it is better if you have two devices to join with because you can only see the question from my own screen while you can answer with your own device. So if you have two devices, for instance, now it'll be easier for you to like use one device to be seeing the question from my end, while you are going to be using the second device to what's it called to answer those questions. So, but that should not be because I did not announce this earlier on. So you can also, if you're using an Android device or even an iPhone, you can always enable a multi window where you can have two windows on the same interface. So you can use one window to be viewing the question as I'm sharing my screen, while you can use the other window to now start answering those questions, right? So are we good to go? I can just click on start if you guys are good to go. So you guys, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh, very good. So I was saying,
yes.
oh, all right. So let me share on my chat. You guys can check the chat list. So just type this thing on your Google or your browser, any of your browser. Just type this particular, what's it called, on your browser, kahoot.it. I just send it to the chat list. Just type it on your Chrome, right? And it's going to ask you for a pin. Immediately you type it, it's going to ask that you have to type a pin. So you can look at my screen to get the pin. So you're going to be having this almost every day. So this is probably like your first experience, right? So I understand that it can be frictions today. However, just note it ahead of time, tomorrow and other classes, that you're going to be having this quiz just to reinforce our knowledge. So once you go to your Google Chrome, it's going to ask for this particular pin. So just type this pin to enter, and then it's going to also ask for your name. All right, welcome, Energy. Welcome. So other people too can also do that. Just type this particular pin and enter your name. I will be able to see that you've entered from my own end here. And everybody to be able to see that you've already joined the class. So we have 21 people on the call. So let's see until we get 10 people before it starts. Welcome, Abdul Malik. So we have like 30 people now. Welcome, Obeta. Sorry if I spelled that wrong. Elijah, welcome. Welcome, John J. Welcome, Michael. Um, let's get four more. Four more. We have like 21 people on the call. So let's see if we can get four more as soon as possible. The question is just 5 minutes questions, and I mean, it's a very simple and straightforward question. So just to like recap everything I've learned, because I understand from my experiences, students can say I understand, because it is easy when you are learning, but when you now see some questions and be like, oh, so we just want to use that to like reinforce as we are answering those questions too, we can now, welcome Jeremy. We can use that to teach ourselves on how so if you miss any question, or I mean if you even ask it perfectly, I can now re-explain to solidify our knowledge. So let's see if we can get like 3 more before we hit start. So just type kahoot.it on your um on your Google or any browser that you are using. Then type in this pin. Welcome AJ. So let's just see if we can get 2 more. Just 2 more, just 2 more, just 2 more. And for some of you that maybe for some reason you are unable to join, you can also follow. It is even important for you to follow as we are having you know, the session. Somebody jump off again. And please, it is also very essential for you to have a very good network also, so that you'll be able to enjoy this game part. Yeah, a very good network is going to help a lot. So just 2 more, just 2 more, just 2 more. So who's going to be joining? Who's joining? Who's joining? I mean, we have 21 people here, so I believe we should be able to. So by 10:10, if you're unable to get anybody, then we can just get started. So that will not just keep ourselves waiting. So like I mentioned, it's just the way to ensure that everybody is participating and we are all on the same page. Right. So let's see if we can wait like 2 minutes more for others to join, and we can just kickstart. So the question is just 10 questions, and each of them is just 20 seconds. Um, so 20 seconds times 10 questions is just more or less like 2 to 3 minutes thereabouts. So it's not that much, right? So within 5 minutes we are done with this. Just to reinforce what we've learned in terms of data analysis processes, and the definition of data analysis generally. Um, so like I mentioned, for those of you that are unable to join, you can always join us, or you can always follow as we continue the class. If you still want to join, just copy the kahoot.it that I sent on the chat to your Google Chrome, and type in this particular pin, and also type your name to just you know, enter. So it's already 10:10. So let's just get started. So please and please let me make a disclaimer. You must have a very good internet. Wow, welcome, Riaz. So you should have a very good network. And at the same time, you will not be able to see the questions from your end. You can only see the question from my own end. You can only answer from your end. So I'm going to hit start now so that we can start. So yeah, in three, two, and one. So we have the first question: which of the following best describes data? So you have 20 seconds. It's counting here. So you can use color and shapes to also answer the question. You can see this is triangle. This is more or less like a square or a diagonal. 5 people answered. 6 people answered. So we have 6 people that answered. And out of those 6 people that answered, 4 people get it correctly. So I mentioned that which of the following best describe data? A collection of unprocessed facts, figures, or observations, right? So any random number you find online is not just a data. Because I mean, what does so if I say two now, what does two mean? Does not pass any information, right? So it's not a data. An Excel file is saved on your computer. So I mean, an empty Excel file can be saved on your computer. So that does not mean that it's going to pass any data. Final conclusion drawn from a study. So the conclusion that I drawn from a study does not represent that it's the data. So the best answer here is just a collection of unprocessed facts, figures, or observations. So let's see who is leading the board rather. So Abdul Malik is leading the board, followed by Elijah and Enejo. So let's just proceed. So you may get the answer, but sometimes network and speed can also determine if you are going to get the answer right. So if analysis is a process, what best defines data analysis? Guessing the meaning of random data, processing and interpreting raw data to extract useful insight. Just typing numbers into Excel, visualizing trends using colors and shapes. Okay, we have 7 people that answered, and all of you get it right. Wow, that's very fascinating. So yeah, so data analysis is just processing and interpreting raw data to extract useful insight. Other word, like to extract meaningful insight. So let's see who is topping the board. Oh, Jerome, very good. While Malik is second and Elijah is third. So let's proceed. So the third of 10, which scenario reflects qualitative data? So number of cars passing a toll gate per day, the color preference of customers for a product, total sales revenue in a month, average rainfall in a day. This is very simple, right? So 4 people answered. We have 4 seconds left. Three, two, and one. 6 people answered. So out of the 6 people that answered, just 3 people get it right. So if it is a qualitative, you see, number of that number itself has already make it a quantitative. It's not more a qualitative. I told you guys that quantitative are any data that is numeric, that is of number. So that number, just number, if I don't even have to read any other thing, by starting with number already, has already notified this option. This one is talking about sales. Sales is number or revenue is number now. So this one is also talking about average. Average is number. You cannot calculate average of a qualitative data. It's not possible. You can only calculate average of a numeric data. So it's only color. I even mentioned color, that maybe what is your favorite color, maybe red or blue. You know, all of these things are color preference. So in that case, it's a qualitative data. So let's see who's stopping the board. Oh, Abdulmalik has gotten it back, followed by Jerome and Ubeta now is now the third. So let's see. So 4 of 10, you conducted an interview and recorded opinions. What type of data is this? Is it a secondary quantitative, secondary qualitative, and primary numeric or primary qualitative? So when you conduct an interview and you recorded opinions, what type of data is this? Is it secondary quantitative, secondary qualitative? Yeah, out of 8 people that answered, I mean, is it 9 people that answered? Yeah, 9 people. So 7 people get it right. While 2 people were wrong. So if you conduct an interview yourself, you are the one that conducts the interview by yourself. In that case, it's already a primary data. Like I mentioned, you are the one that do it yourself. So that's like a fresh data. So it's a primary. So first of all, this first option here, this one, you're already wrong like that. You are now left with two options. This last one, because they include primary. So the next one is now saying you conducted an interview, right? And recorded opinion. You are recording opinion. And I mentioned in my slide, let me see if I can show you guys the slide. So qualitative are opinion, right? So it shares opinion. You can see description, qualities or characteristics. You can see opinion, emotions, experiences. So it's a qualitative data. So yeah, so basically, it's the answer is primary qualitative. It is primary because you are the one that conduct it. It is qualitative because it's an opinion data. So let's see who's stopping the board. Still Abdul Malik, followed by AJ. Oh, very interesting. So the fifth we have to go. Which one is an example of secondary data? A government report you found online, a lab test result you just measured, responses from your own survey, your diary entry from yesterday. So which one is considered a secondary data? Some people answered 4, 2, 1. All right, so 9 people, you all get it right. So the answer is a government report you found online, right? So a lab test is more or less like an experimental data, right? So and if you are conducting a lab test, is a real data, is a fresh data, because you have to mix one thing together to get another thing. So that's a fresh. Nobody have done it before. So responses from your own survey, that's already a primary data because you are the one that did that survey yourself. Your diary entry from yesterday, you are the one that writes it yourself. That is like a direct data. So, but a government report that you found online, somebody must have done it. Somebody must have recorded it online before you can get it. So in that case, it's secondary data. So I believe that is very simple. All of you get it right, but who is stopping the board? Still Abdul Malik. And the reason is because maybe your network, your speed, how fast you are able to answer the question. So it's not really about you getting it, but sometimes speed can also deny you. So which of this is an example of quantitative data? Types of fruits sold in a market, feedback on how a product feels, number of students in a class, opinion about a movie. So 7 people have answered. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 8 people answered, and out of the people that answered, 6 people get it right. Why 2 get it wrong? So when you are talking about types of fruits in the market, sold in the market, so types is more or less like saying, is it, for instance, it can be as clear as saying, oh, is it a green? Let's say it's a fruit now. Is it a green fruit or a white fruit or a black fruit? It can be, types can be color. It can be color types. It can be big. It can be about size. Size can also define the types of a fruit. So in that case, because it's not a number, it is not a quantitative. So if you're talking about feedback about how a product feels, that's feeling. So it's not a quantitative. So this is, I mean, just by seeing number alone, already make it a quant. Opinion, this is already opinion. It's a qualitative. I've already explained before. I don't know why another person picked this. So opinion is just talking about qualitative, not quantitative. So let's say we're stopping the board. Still Abdul Malik. Jerome is not making second, while Elijah is now the third. So let's proceed. We have 7. So what makes primary data different from secondary data? Primary data is older than secondary data. Primary data is always in numbers. Secondary data is collected face to face, while primary data is collected by you directly. So 4 people answered, 5, 6. Yeah, so 6 people answered, and 5 people get it right. So primary data is collected by you directly, and that is one of the reasons why primary data is different from secondary data. So primary data is older than second. So that one does not, the age of the data does not really differentiate them. You can collect a primary data like maybe 50 years ago, and second data can be today, right? So the way that differentiate them is that you collect it yourself, while secondary data is that you get it from somebody, from another source. So that's the way that differentiates them, and that's what makes this last option the best answer. Oh, still Abdulmalik topping the board, while Jerome and Elijah is also following. So we have the eighth question. Which of the following is not a reason to analyze data? To find patterns, to clean your files, to make decisions, and to understand what happened. Hmm. Um, so which of the following is not a reason to analyze data? So this particular question can be tricky. However, most people get it right. So, yeah, the reason why I said it can be tricky, the person that picked this last one, I mean, that's been tricky because the next section that we just want to that you just want to take that I said we should stop. That is where we are going to like explain this better. This last option. So analyzing data is also part of understanding what happened. To also find pattern. This is even data exploration, right? When you are looking for a relationship, out of that 6 steps, making decision, this is your conclusion. The part where you make decision and make conclusion. So, but cleaning your files, well, if you like, don't clean it. If you like, clean it. Nobody cares. So, what really happens is you trying to find patterns and making decision out of it. So, let's see who is stopping. So, Abdul Malik is still topping the board. That's very interesting. So, let's see the ninth question. When someone is using a newspaper report for research, it is called one, primary qualitative, first-hand data, secondary data, live observation. So when someone uses a newspaper report for research, it is called. So 5 people answered already, 6 people answered. All right, so out of the 6 people that answer, 5 people get it right. So when you get something like a newspaper report, I even give it as an example. I said newspaper, TV, radio, online, these are secondary data. Right. So I think this is quite straightforward. So the last, oh, Jerome is now topping. Oh, why AJ is not second. So we have the last question. So what is the first thing to do before analyzing data? Collect and organize the data, create graphs, delete the missing values, type random numbers. So what is that first thing to do before analyzing your data? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow, most of us get it right, except one person that's just wrong. So when you are deleting missing values, it's also part of collecting and organizing your data as well. So this first option suffice. When you are picking any option, it means that if you are picking that option, the other options are wrong. That's what it means. So if you are picking deleting the missing value, so you are trying to say that collecting and organizing data is wrong. So that's not correct. So collecting and organizing data is part of one of those first things that you have to do. I make example of somebody that his friend is trying to understand why he has changed. So what he first did, you have to collect data, then now start collecting, like organize and prepare those data before now exploring and doing the analysis. So collect and organize the data is the best answer. So that's the end of the whole session. So let's see who make third. So third is Elijah. The second person here is AJ. So let's see who's going to be the first. So the first is Jerome. Wow. So Abdul Malik did not make the first. Not even second and third. Wow. So that's very interesting. That's very so that's how it works. So Jerome actually made the first, AJ is second, and Elijah. So I believe you guys found this very much interesting. So this is not like a quiz or like a very strict question and answer. It's just for us like reinforce some of the things that we've learned in our class and to ensure that everybody actually gets them right without missing anything. So let me know if you guys still have any questions, confusion, comments, suggestions, and feedbacks before we round up this class. You guys don't have any question?
Um,
Okay,
it's
Elijah.
not. Yeah, it's not really a question. I just want to comment the whole procedure. Like it was well impactful. So maybe that's the reason why for me I don't have a question, because the whole pattern you took to explain it is very clear, including the game and everything. At least I was able to put together everything I learned from the class, and bringing it up as a quiz helped me remember everything you said, and the knowledge even got even deeper. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, you are welcome, Elijah. That's very welcomed, and I really appreciate the fact that you could give that kind of positive response about me. Yeah, Elijah, sorry that the network has to push you out, and you're also welcome for you're also welcome as well. So yeah, I mean generally data analysis is actually very simple. It's not that rigorous, just like people paint it as. So it's something that is very straightforward and easy if you are able to meet a very good tutor to explain to you. So, and also, just to make things very fun and easy, we also prepare a quiz to just, have an interactive session at the end of the class. So, our next class is going to continue tomorrow by 9 p.m. as well. The same process. So, prepare yourself. I understand that this can be the very first time most of you are using Kahoot possibly, and also all of those frictions, trying to figure out how to use it, and, so just prepare that tomorrow too. There will be also like similar thing on Wednesday, which is going to be our third session. You are going to be introduced to data analysis, how to like analyze data. You'll be able to build dashboard by Thursday or Friday or so. You also have your own presentation that you can post on LinkedIn. Fine, this is a 1 week class, but as much as it's a 1 week class, we want to make use of it like at the maximum, something that you can, if you are going to be the dashboard that somebody will be asking you that, have you been learning this class for 1 month or 2 months? So like I said, it is not hard if you are able to get somebody that can help you simplify the entire path. So which is what you're going to be doing for the entire week. You'll be able to build a very good dashboard. Mandatorily, everybody has to build it to be very much interactive, and you can always push it on LinkedIn and social media pages for engagement and the likes. So if there's no questions to ask, I would like to invite Madam Mrs. Joseph to give a remark of to just end this class. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jamio. That was impactful. That was really insightful. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who showed up for this session. And I would love to see the same set of people tomorrow so that you can continue your learning process and you won't miss out and then show up on the third day or fourth day. So just try to be consistent for the next 6 days or 5 days now. And you never can tell where it would be very helpful. Your next job could require this knowledge, and you just look back and be thankful that you participated in this. So thank you, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll end the session now. Bye.